The air in the market at Tenochtitlan was thick with the scent of wood smoke, spices, and 1,000 different foods. The cacophony of vendors' calls blended with the murmur of shoppers and the laughter of children at play. In the heart of this vibrant chaos, Tlatelolco, a young market vendor, expertly haggled over the price of a clay pot, his quick wit matching the merchant's sharper tone. Life as a merchant in the bustling capital of the Aztec Empire was a precarious balancing act. While the city throbbed with life, offering endless opportunities for trade, it also teemed with dangers. Bandits lurked around every corner, and the whims of the nobility could make or break a merchant's fortune. But Tlatelolco was no ordinary merchant. His mind was as sharp as the obsidian blade he kept hidden under his cloak, and his heart burned with a fierce ambition that drove him to succeed in the perilous world of commerce. He dreamed of one day owning an entire marketplace stall, his wares spilling out into the walkways, his profits overflowing. But for now, he was just another nameless vendor amidst the sea of faces in the crowd. As the sun climbed higher, the market reached its midday lull, giving way to the afternoon rains. Tlatelolco, seeking refuge from the downpour, hurried toward the Templo Mayor, the grand religious center of the city. The temple, with its towering pyramid and ornately carved facade, was a beacon amidst the deluge. There, amidst the smoke from burning incense and the murmur of prayers, he found a moment's respite. But his peace was short-lived. The last rays of the sun were painting the sky in hues of orange and purple when Tlatelolco finally emerged from the temple. The streets, however, were deserted, the shops shuttered, and a palpable fear hung in the air. The emperor, Moctezuma II, had vanished. Rumors swirled like the wind through the empty streets, each telling a different tale of the emperor's disappearance. Was he held captive by the treacherous Hernán Cortés? Had he fallen ill or worse, been taken by the gods? Unwilling to risk being caught in the crossfire of the nobility's intrigue, Tlatelolco slipped into the shadows, making his way to the relative safety of his family's home. He had seen too much in the flickering lamplight of the market and the cold stone halls of the temple, and now he longed for the warmth of his hearth and the comfort of his family. Little did he know that his simple act of prudence had saved him, for the night was pregnant with danger, and the fate of an empire was hanging in the balance. We hope you enjoyed this journey through time. If you want more stories like this, please subscribe. Now, close your eyes, letting the soft glow of the screen fade into the darkness, just as the final chords of our song fade into the night. The gentle lapping of lake water, carried on the evening breeze, replaces the bustling market sounds, and the only sound now is the soft chirp of crickets. May these sounds of nature be your guide as you drift to sleep, just as the stars have guided travelers for centuries. Rest well, dear listener, and until next time, may your dreams be filled with the magic of the ancient world. Another day, another sunrise over the lake of Texcoco. Another day to be a market vendor in Tenochtitlan, the heart of the Aztec Empire. The year is 1500 CE, and your life is hard, harder than the flatbread you and your family eat every day. Harder than the rough-spun cotton that makes up your clothes. Harder even than the calluses that have formed on your feet from years of walking the bustling streets of the city, going to and from the market, trying to earn enough to make a decent living. Your home is modest, just a single room made of adobe, the walls smooth, but with no decoration. It's on the edge of a chinampa, one of thousands of floating garden plots in this great city. All around you are canals and bridges and the houses of other people who work the gardens, growing the food that feeds the great city. The woven mat you sleep on is thin and offers little comfort against the hard earth floor. Your body aches from yesterday's long hours spent carrying papayas and tomatoes and herbs from the market to the kitchens of the wealthy. But it's a new day now, and the sun, though newly risen, is already hot. The air is cool and damp, the smell of lake water and reeds heavy in the morning light. You pull on your simple cotton clothes, dyed with cochineal, the color of blood. The fabric clings to your skin. As you move, the faint smell of charcoal from a smoldering hearth lingers in the air. It's the smell of home, of cooking fires and wood smoke, of tortillas cooking for your family. You don't own an ox, so you walk down the hill to the market, past the stone cabeza, the vendor's market, where thousands of people from all over Mesoamerica bring their goods to sell, to barter, to trade. You stop at the flower and herb sellers, picking up some cilantro and a small pot of copal, the fragrant resin used for incense. You need these for the rich family you work for. They will add flavor to their meats and mask the smells of poverty that cling to you. The rhythmic calls of the market vendors blend together, a steady, hypnotic rhythm that has lulled many a weary traveler to a stop. Their wares are laid out on mats in piles of brightly colored blankets. There are copper mirrors, jaguar skin cloaks, hand-woven baskets, pottery from far-off kilns, and even slaves, shackled men and women, their bodies bruised and battered, bought and sold like any other commodity. And here, too, at the edge of the market, you are just another vendor trying to earn a living in the greatest city the world has ever seen. Welcome to Tenochtitlan. What will you sell today? Your day begins with a journey to the Tlatelolco market, the largest in the city. There are smaller markets closer to home, but the variety and volume of goods found here cannot be matched. You push off from the familiar dock, the one with the chipped stone monolith that the Huron uses as a nesting site. Paddling a canoe through the narrow canals, you move with the grace born of necessity. The water is dark and rippling, the paddle heavy in your calloused hands. The air is alive with the calls of herons and the distant hum of voices that grows louder with each stroke. You are a merchant, one of many who make the long journey from the island market to this bustling center of trade. Your canoe is laden with baskets of maize, cacao beans, and chili peppers, their weight pressing into your shoulders. You shift the load to one side, then the other, keeping it balanced to avoid tipping into the lake. Around you, the city rises, its pyramids and palaces gleaming under the early sun. But your world is the market, a sprawling maze of stalls and shouting vendors, where survival depends on your wares and wit. You have come prepared. The long journey has given you time to memorize the secrets of the marketplace, to study the ebb and flow of customers and the changing seasons. You know what the market demands, what the people want, and you have brought it for them. Each turn of the paddle brings you closer to the clamor and color of the marketplace, closer to the heart of the city and the pulse of its people. Soon you will be among the throng of traders and customers, all here to buy and sell their way to prosperity. You grip the paddle tighter, your muscles tense and ready, your eyes fixed on the market's edge. In a few moments, you will set foot on solid ground again, enter the bustling marketplace, and begin the dance of trade. The rhythm of the city will envelop you, and for a brief moment, you will be lost in the timeless world of commerce and community. When the sun climbs higher in the sky, the market will reach its peak, and so will you. Your voice will be hoarse from calling out your wares, your hands stained with the colors of the merchandise you sell. By midday, the heat will be at its height, but the energy of the marketplace will keep you moving, the promise of a good deal or a shrewd negotiation keeping you sharp. As the day wears on, the crowds will thin and the light will begin to fade. It's time to return home to paddle back across the darkening lake, the sounds of the market fading into the distance, leaving you with the quiet lapping of water against your canoe and the satisfaction of a day says work done. You are a traveling merchant, your home a small village of palm huts nestled between a lake and a jungle. Every morning you wake before sunrise, the air already thick with the buzz of insects and the cries of exotic birds. Life here is simple. Days are long and hot, filled with the drone of cicadas and the patient work of arranging your goods for the market. At your stall, a simple mat spread beneath a canopy of woven palm, you arrange your goods with care. The maize kernels, golden and smooth, spill softly as you pour them into clay bowls. The cacao beans, rich and bitter, release a faint aroma that mingles with the sharp tang of chilies. Your fingers, stained purple from the dark fruits, work quickly, their rhythm broken only by the arrival of customers. The market is a sensory whirlwind, the clamor of bartering voices, the clink of obsidian blades traded nearby, the scent of roasting tamales and flour in cacao pods. The earth beneath your feet is hard and unforgiving, and by midday your feet ache. The sandals on your feet are worn thin, their leather straps offering little protection from the rough earth. The sun climbs higher, its heat pressing down despite the lake's breeze. You call out to passers-by, your voice hoarse by midday, competing with 1,000 others in a city of hundreds of thousands. The day drags on, the heat shimmering above the crowded stalls. Still, you hold out, hoping for a good sale before the day is done. As the hours pass, the light begins to fade, signaling the end of another bustling market day. With the sky ablaze in hues of orange and purple, you pack up your wares, your heart heavy with the ache of unmet expectations. But there is solace in the familiar rhythm of your steps as you walk back to your hut, the sounds and smells of the market fading into the comforting quiet of home. And in the darkness of your hut, surrounded by the familiar sounds of the jungle, you rest, your body weary, your spirit unbroken, ready to face another day in the bustling marketplace. The market is a place of trade, but it's also a place of pressure. Here in the heart of the great city, tribute collectors pass through, their cloaks adorned with the feathers of captured enemies. Their eyes are sharp, assessing your person, your goods, how much they can get from you. Because here in the empire, there are two things that you owe. One is cacao or cloth to the emperor's officials. And if you don't have it, well, they will take it, whether as a fine or a public shaming, or perhaps they'll take you. The other is your valuables, your extra food, your fine clothes, even your children, all of which can be stolen in an instant by a quick hand in a crowd. So you clutch your baskets close, watching them closely. Here at the market, you barter for necessities, salt, a clay pot, perhaps a turkey for the upcoming festival. But each exchange is a calculation, a balancing of resources that are stretched ever so thin. And though you have needs, the tribute collectors have wants. And so it goes, the endless bartering, trading, stealing, all under the watchful eye of the sun god. From the marketplace to the palace, the weight of these demands is as heavy as the baskets that you carry. It is a constant reminder of your place in the empire's hierarchy, a place where even the markets are a battle for survival. This is part 2 of a 6-part series based on a classic text. To learn more about the history of Mesoamerica, check out the link below. You wake to the rhythmic chant of the priests long before the sun crests the Templo Mayor, the grand temple at the heart of the city. From your home in the bustling market, the only sound you can hear above the chanting is the mournful cry of a distant hawk. You pull your blankets tighter around you, hoping to steal a few more minutes of sleep, but the routine of the market soon intrudes upon your dreams. You rise, stretch, and yawn, and pad barefoot to the rough clay floor. The round stone in your courtyard, a shrine to Tlatelolco, the rain god, waits patiently for its daily offering of copal incense. Kneeling, you grind the fragrant resin into a fine powder and set it alight with a torch. The smoke drifts skyward, carrying your silent prayer for rain to the heavens. Your fields are parched and the crops withering. You can feel the desperation clawing at the throats of the people in the market, their gazes darting nervously toward the mountains where the clouds gather. But will Tlatelolco, the rain god, hear your plea? As the first rays of sunlight touch the rooftops, you rise and begin your day. The market thrums with activity. Vendors set out their wares, merchants haggle over prices, and the air fills with the aroma of fresh tortillas and sweet tamales. Amidst the vibrant colors and lively chatter, life seems almost idyllic. Yet a shadow lurks beneath the merriment. You've seen the captives paraded through the city, their faces grim, their hands bound behind their backs. The priests atop the Templo Mayor, high above the clamor of the market, perform ceremonies to appease the gods. And the possibility of sacrifice hangs heavy in the air, especially in times of drought or war. It's a grim reminder of the fragility of life here, a life sustained by the fickle whims of the gods. With a start, you remember the captives from the neighboring village. Their sullen eyes still haunt your waking moments. You sold them maize, the very sustenance that could save your life, now condemned to feed the flames. Their fate, like the rain that nourishes your crops, is in the hands of the gods. You turn your attention back to your stall, letting the familiar tasks ground you. The maize you sell, the very essence of life, has become a symbol of sacrifice. Every ear you handle, every basket you weave, you do so knowing that it could be your last, that your name could soon be added to the growing list of the chosen ones. The vibrant market, the laughter of children at play, the scent of copal incense wafting through the air, all of it a fleeting, precious thing, a life lived under the ever-present shadow of ritual. The morning mist is cool on your skin as you walk through the market, the sounds of the city washing over you like the tides. The smell of roasting meat and sweet bread makes your stomach rumble, but you have no time for that. No time to sit, to eat, to rest, not when the entire city depends on you. You grab a handful of beans from your basket, their earthy smell grounding you. You find a spot in the bustling marketplace, squat down and begin to chew, letting the gritty texture remind you of the work that still needs to be done. The chili you add has a bite, a brief spark of heat on your tongue, but it's quickly gone, leaving only the warmth of the beans and the memory of the sun on your face. You wash it down with water from your gourd, warm from the sun, but it quenches your thirst nonetheless. All around you, merchants hawk their wares, trading feathers, jade, and gold, their voices rising and falling like the waves of the sea. You envy their easy lives, their chance to haggle and barter, to own beautiful things. But you know your role. You are the one who feeds the city. You are the one who keeps its heart beating. By evening, your baskets are lighter, but your body is heavy. Your feet are swollen and sore from walking all day, and your voice is hoarse from calling out to customers. The thought of cooking, of gathering more supplies for tomorrow, seems like a burden too great to bear. But as you paddle home through the canals, the city lights reflecting on the water, the air cool and scented with night-blooming flowers, you feel the familiar pull of responsibility. You are needed. The city is waiting. And as the darkness fades, you know you'll be up with the sun, ready to start again. For you are not just a simple food vendor. You are the lifeline of the city. You are the one who makes sure that everyone has a full belly and an empty sack. You are the one who keeps the city running, one tortilla at a time. The year is 1519, and the Aztec Emperor Moctezuma II is about to get a lot less happy. Why? Well, because this year a Spanish conquistador named Cortez will arrive in his empire with around 600 men and 20 horses. And if you know anything about history, you know that's going to go about as well as you'd expect. But before we get into it, let's talk about our sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is an online learning platform with thousands of lessons in science, computer science, and math. Whether you want to know more about the physics of everyday things, or you're re-interested in advanced computer science, Brilliant has you covered. I've been digging this probability course lately. It's really helped me understand how probabilities are calculated and statistics are analyzed. And you don't have to be a numbers nerd to enjoy it. Brilliant makes learning really fun. They've got interactive courses that keep you engaged, and their lessons are bite-sized, so they fit into your day. Now let's get back to 1519 and the impending doom headed straight for the Aztec Empire. When Cortes and his men first arrived in Tenochtitlan, Moctezuma saw an opportunity to get some gold and maybe make a new friend. So he rolled out the red carpet, or at least the red earth, and welcomed the Spaniards into his capital. But once they were there, Moctezuma had second thoughts. He started hearing rumors that these friendly visitors were actually murderous, godless heathens who just wanted to pillage his city. But he decided to keep playing nice, probably because he thought he could outsmart these guys. I mean, look at him. He's got a whole chin-strap beard going on. He looks smart. Unfortunately for Montezuma, his intelligence was not genetic. It was entirely environmental. And that meant when the Spanish began taking over his empire, he was in trouble. Now, there's lots of reasons why the Aztecs lost to the Spaniards. I've done other videos on that. But one big reason was that Montezuma wasn't able to use superior numbers to simply beat the Spaniards. In fact, the Aztec army was one of the largest in the world. At its peak, it boasted between 200,000 and 300,000 soldiers. The Aztecs had a standing army of 40 to 60,000 men, which is larger than the armies of most of Europe at the time. The Aztecs also had a well-developed military strategy. They would often employ guerrilla tactics against their enemies, using hit-and-run missions to wear them down. But despite all of this, the Aztecs weren't able to defeat the Spaniards. One reason for this was the introduction of new weapons and technology. The Spaniards had steel weapons, which were much sharper and stronger than the Aztec weapons made of obsidian and wood. They also had horses, which gave them a significant advantage in battle. But perhaps the most important thing that the Spaniards had was gunpowder. The Aztecs had never seen a gun before, and they didn't know what to make of them. When the Spaniards fired their guns, the Aztecs thought that they were thunder, and this gave the Spaniards enough time to conquer the Aztec Empire. If you want to learn more about the fall of the Aztecs, check out the series in the description below. The year is 1502, and you find yourself standing in the bustling heart of Tenochtitlan. The day's heat is starting to fade, giving way to the cool embrace of the evening. Above you, the sky is a vibrant canvas of orange and purple hues, as the sun prepares to dip below the horizon. In the distance, you hear the rhythmic chanting of worshippers making their way to the mighty Templo Mayor, its twin pyramids seemingly touching the very heavens. Life here in the Aztec capital is a rich tapestry. Merchants hawk their wares, children chase each other through the crowded streets, and the air is filled with the tantalizing aroma of food cooking in earthenware over open fires. It's a scene of everyday life in what is arguably the greatest city in the world. And at this very moment, atop one of these pyramids, a young man named Moctezuma stands watching the city he is destined to rule. He isn't king yet, but soon will be. His father, the previous emperor, is about to name him his heir. For Moctezuma, the future seems as limitless as the sky itself. But little does he know that his reign will forever alter the course of his people's history. You see, Moctezuma's life is marked by two great certainties. First, his devotion to the gods. From a young age, he's shown a remarkable piety, often sacrificing his own comforts to fulfill religious duties. The second certainty is his destiny. The oracle has spoken, and it is clear that Moctezuma is destined for greatness. Yet there's a third, less certain note in the song of his life, a hint of tragedy that even the gods themselves cannot seem to erase. Throughout his life, Moctezuma has been haunted by a series of disturbing dreams and visions. They come to him in the dead of night, shaking him from his sleep with their unsettling imagery. In these visions, he sees strange, pale-skinned men with eyes as blue as the ocean and hair the color of gold. They arrive in great ships, bringing with them strange gods that have no place in this world. And they speak in a tongue that sounds like the gushing of waterfalls. Though he doesn't understand their ways or their language, there's something about these strangers that both terrifies and intrigues him. As Moctezuma steps into his role as emperor, these visions only intensify. Are they warnings of an impending storm, a tempest that could shatter the very foundations of his empire? Or are they merely figments of his imagination, the product of a mind too sensitive for the burdens of rulership? His coronation day dawns, a day when Tenochtitlan will celebrate not just the continuity of its rule, but the promise of a new era. Yet in the heart of the young emperor, a seed of doubt has been sown. A doubt that whispers, are the gods truly on their throne, or are the strangers from across the sea? A prophecy foretold? Join us next time as we continue the epic tale of Montezuma, where the grandeur of an empire meets the turmoil of a changing world. Until then, may the gods smile upon you and keep you in their grace. Long before the Spanish came to conquer it, there was an empire here, the Aztec Empire, and leading it was a man named Moctezuma. So how did he get from zero to hero? Well, that's what we're going to find out right now. Our story begins in a city of canals and stone, where the scent of blooming marigolds and burning copal incense fills the air. Imagine with me, if you will, a young noble, trained as a priest and warrior, his eyes sharp with ambition, his steps measured as he walks through palaces adorned with feather mosaics. He was born into the royal line, the direct descendant of a long line of kings. And when he was about 40 years old, he inherited the throne from his uncle, Ahitzotl. The empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico. It was a vast and complex world of interconnected city-states bound together by trade, war, and a common culture. At this point in history, the Aztecs were ruled by a king, or rather an emperor, whose power was both spiritual and political. He was not only the highest civil and religious authority, but also the commander-in-chief of the military. As such, he was expected to be a great builder, a shrewd diplomat and a fierce warrior. But Moctezuma was different. He was more interested in expanding the empire's borders than in building palaces or waging war. In fact, he was one of the most ambitious rulers in Aztec history. When he came to power, Moctezuma set about modernizing the empire. He reorganized the government, reformed the military, and launched a series of building projects that would make Tenochtitlan the center of the Aztec world. He also embarked on a series of military campaigns that would bring much of central Mexico under the Aztec yoke. But it was his cultural achievements that truly set him apart. Moctezuma was a patron of the arts and sciences, and he used his power to promote education, scholarship, and artistic creativity. Under his rule, Tenochtitlan became a hub of intellectual activity, and many of the greatest Aztec writers, poets, and scientists lived during his reign. Yet despite all of his accomplishments, Moctezuma is perhaps best remembered for what happened at the end of his life. When the Spanish arrived in 1519, they were greeted by a delegation from Tenochtitlan, led by the emperor himself. Moctezuma was curious about the foreigners who had come to his court, and he treated them with great hospitality. But the Spanish had no intention of being guests. And when Moctezuma refused to convert to Christianity and submit to Spanish rule, they took him hostage and forced him to watch as they looted and pillaged his city. In the end, the Aztecs rose up and killed him. So there you have it. That's how Moctezuma went from being a nobody to a legend. Thanks for watching. You have never seen an emperor like Moctezuma. When you enter the Templo Mayor, you will see him enthroned in the center of a courtyard, his cloak of woven cotton and feathers swaying gently in the breeze. Above him, the image of Huitzilopochtli, the sun god, is painted on a vast canvas of blue and green. Around him are his attendants, nobles and priests, all gathered to honor the gods and to receive the emperor's just and sometimes brutal justice. The air is thick with the scent of copal, sharp and resinous, as Moctezuma prays for rain, for victory in the coming battles, and for the continuation of the world. He has been emperor for 10 years now, and his rule is a model of strength and piety. He has reorganized the tribute system so that every province provides maize, cacao, and gold to Tenochtitlan. He has elevated loyal nobles to key positions, and he has strengthened the empire's borders. His enemies feel his power. Just look at the markets. They are full to bursting with goods from all over the empire and from distant lands beyond, brought here by merchants who brave dangerous journeys to sell their wares. There are stalls piled high with mangoes, avocados, and chocolate, with jaguar skins and feather fans, with gold jewelry and incense. There is so much wealth on display that it is vulgar. And yet you cannot help but smile as you take in the sights and sounds of this great city. But his piety, it demands more. The rituals to appease the gods are growing longer and more elaborate, and their cost is borne by the captives and tribute. A shadow has fallen across the empire. Moctezuma's rule is absolute, and his justice is swift and brutal. In the name of the gods, he demands more from his people, more work, more tribute, more sacrifice. And when the rains fail or the harvest is poor, he knows that they will suffer, but he can only hope that they will endure. You can see the weariness in his eyes, the burden of empire, the fear of the gods, the love for his people. He is a man of contradictions, a warrior king, a devout priest, a scholar, an artist, a patron of the people. You may not agree with all of his policies, but you cannot deny his greatness. Moctezuma II, Emperor of the Mexica, ruler of Tenochtitlan. May he who rules the sun and the earth grant him wisdom and strength in these, his greatest years. Thanks for watching. He is the most powerful man in the world, the 20th king of the Aztec Empire, Moctezuma. But power for Moctezuma is not just about conquest. It's also about control of his empire and its people. And that requires something more than brute force, something called diplomacy. His empire stretches from the Pacific to the Gulf of Mexico, a realm of bustling cities and unruly provinces, each with their own customs and ambitions. To keep them in check, Moctezuma sends out emissaries, not with weapons, but with gifts, turquoise and jaguar pelts, symbols of his wealth and power. We can picture him in a palace chamber, its walls carved with serpents, listening to reports of unrest in some distant province. A rebellion, perhaps, or maybe just a city that hasn't paid its tribute. For Moctezuma, these are not problems to be ignored. He must show that he is the ultimate authority, the one true emperor. So he prepares to go to war, assembling his army, tens of thousands of warriors, all eager to prove themselves in battle. But we will not linger on the battles themselves, the bloodshed and the destruction, because for all its brutality, this war is not really about conquest. It's about control. Oh, sure, there are cities that resist, like the fierce warriors of Tlacopan, who fight to the death rather than submit. But even as Moctezuma conquers new lands, his enemies become his subjects, paying tribute and sending their daughters to be wives in his court. Each victory brings him closer to his goal of uniting the whole of Mesoamerica under the Aztec flag. But with each new subject comes new problems. For while they may accept Aztec rule, they don't necessarily love it. And as the empire grows, so does the resentment, kept in check, however, by the awesome power of the Aztecs, by the memory of their victories, and by the fear of their wrath. Still, even as Moctezuma surveys his vast domain and takes it as a sign of divine favor, others see omens in the sky, a comet streaking across the heavens, the temple of a rival god, consumed by flames, a warning, they say, that the gods are angry with the Aztecs and their king. And when a great lord is found drowned in a canal, some whisper that the gods have had enough of Moctezuma's bloodline. Now, these are just stories, of course, meant to make the ruler and his empire seem all-powerful and invincible. But what if there is more to them than that? What if the gods really are angry? To find out, we'll have to follow the messenger. He travels from city to city, delivering messages and gifts, trying to keep the empire together. That is, until an assassin's arrow cuts him down and the empire begins to fall apart. For more adventures from the warrior kings, stay tuned. In 1519, the world shifted. On the eastern coast of Mexico, strangers arrived, men in gleaming armor led by Hernan Quartz. Back in Tenochtitlan, Moctezuma sits in his palace. It's a grand structure of white stone and vibrant murals, the seat of the Mexican Empire. The air is thick with the scent of fresh plaster and flowers. A group of messengers has just arrived from the coast. They describe ships larger than houses and weapons that thunder. Moctezuma listens intently. These must be the emissaries of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god. The ancient texts foretold his return from the east, riding a boat made of wood and carrying with him new gods and new ways. But are these men really gods, or just another invading force seeking tribute? His advisors press him to attack, but Moctezuma is cautious. He remembers the wrath of the gods when they abandoned the city in the 13th century. He knows the power of a vengeful sky. So instead of war, he prepares a grand welcome. He adorns the city with flowers and precious metals. He gathers his nobles and gives them orders. Take the foreigners to the palace, he says, and treat them as honored guests. But keep an eye on them, too. Let us know if they try anything funny. The nobles bow before the king and then set out to meet the Spanish. Quartz watches as the natives approach. They carry strange, beautiful objects, flowers, and a large ball made of solid gold. One of his men steps forward and accepts the gifts. Then the Spaniard gestures for the natives to lead the way. The time has come for them to enter the great city of Tenochtitlan. The Spaniards walk on stone causeways that crisscross the canals. Their boots echo in the stillness. Everywhere they look, there are signs of wealth and power. Palaces adorned with mosaic tiles, temples with pyramids soaring high into the clouds, gardens filled with exotic plants and flowers. As they approach the main temple, a priest steps forward. He speaks in a language the Spaniards don't understand, but his words are clear. The gods have come. The Spaniards, with their strange ways and even stranger gods, had arrived in Tenochtitlan, and no one knew what would happen next. This is a History Hot Tip. For more historical tales each week, stay tuned. Remember Moctezuma? We first met him in Episode 1 when he received the Spanish in their incredible city of Tenochtitlan. But how did this encounter unravel the great Moctezuma and his magnificent empire? Let's find out. So Moctezuma is a legendary ruler. He'd brought law and order to the region. His warriors were famed for their discipline and skill, and under his reign, trade and tribute had flourished. But now this tough warrior was facing an unprecedented challenge. These Spanish demanded the tribute of gold and silver, and when Montezuma refused to comply, they threatened war. So with tensions high, Moctezuma had to make a decision that would shape his legacy forever. He chose to defy the Spanish, which may have been a mistake. His warriors were indeed disciplined and well-trained, but the Spanish had weapons that the Aztecs had never seen before, weapons that were capable of great destruction. And so the Spanish began their assault on the city, and it was a disaster. The Aztecs fought bravely, but they were no match for the horses and the guns of the conquistadors. Within weeks, the Spanish had captured the city, but then something unexpected happened. The Aztecs had a festival in the sacred month of Toxcatl, a celebration of life and death, of war and peace. But this year, the mood was different. There was anger in the air. As the Spaniards paraded through the streets, the people of Tenochtitlan rose up against them. It was a massacre. The Spaniards were taken by surprise. They fought back, but they were outnumbered. Soon, the whole city was a battleground. Moctezuma watched in horror as his people descended into violence. He tried to stop the fighting, but he was almost killed in the melee. When the dust settled, thousands lay dead in the streets. Moctezuma knew he had to act fast. He needed to restore order to the city, to protect his people from the Spanish. But how could he do it without the respect of his people? You can imagine him addressing a crowd from a palace rooftop, his voice steady but strained, urging calm, calling for peace. But his authority was gone. The people of Tenochtitlan had seen the power of the Spanish, and they were afraid. And when Moctezuma tried to take the city back, they turned on him. In the end, Moctezuma paid the ultimate price. In 1520, during a tumult, his life was cut short. Some accounts blamed Spanish treachery, while others point to an angry crowd. But one thing is for sure, The great Moctezuma, the man who had brought the Aztec Empire to its peak, was dead. And with his death, the Spanish were finally able to take over the city. They looted the temples and palaces, and they took the treasure back to Spain. The once great city of Tenochtitlan was in ruins. Its canals and plazas bore the weight of loss, of a people and an empire that once thrived here. Yet despite the tragedy, Moctezuma's legacy endured. He became a symbol of the empire's glory, yes, but also its fragility, a reminder that even the greatest civilizations are not immune to the destructive forces of war and greed. Did you like this episode? If you did, don't forget to like and share. And for more videos like this, stay tuned. Until next time. As you picture Moctezuma now, standing atop his pyramid, the city sprawling beneath him, let his story settle gently. His life was one of power and prophecy, a leader whose world trembled at the edge of the unknown. The scent of incense, the weight of gold, the rhythm of a city's heartbeat, they carry us forward, toward a mystery older than Tenochtitlan itself. The year is 1520. The place is a city unlike any other, a city where empires are born and legends are made. You stand before the emperor's palace, a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, echoing with the whispers of the past. Sunlight streams through the trees, painting the courtyard in hues of green and gold. And there he is, Moctezuma, the last great emperor of the Aztec Empire, striding purposefully through the bustling marketplace. His steps are measured, his gaze steady. The people part before him, their faces a mixture of awe and reverence. He is their Huitzilopochtli, the embodiment of their gods on earth. And yet, like the gods, he is shrouded in mystery. Born into power, destined for greatness, his early life was a tapestry of omens and prophecies. The elders foretold his rise to power, but also his empire's demise at the hands of a bearded god. These prophecies echo in his dreams, shaping his every decision. Was he the chosen one, or was he merely a pawn in a game of cosmic chance? The answer lies hidden in the chambers of his heart. Now, pause briefly, allowing the weight of Moctezuma's thoughts to settle over the audience. The year is 1520, and the city is on the cusp of change. A new world is rising, a world where the old gods will be challenged and the very foundations of society are about to crumble. As Moctezuma stands before the bearded god, the fate of an empire hangs in the balance. From Moctezuma's imperial stage, let's turn to a deeper enigma, one that predates the Aztecs and still captivates the mind. The ancient city of Teotihuacan, a place of pyramids and secrets, beckons us back to a time when the Valley of Mexico was a cradle of civilization. Here amidst the ruins, a new mystery unfolds, one that rivals the grandeur of the Sun and Moon Pyramid. What secrets does this enigmatic structure hold? What stories does it whisper to those who dare to listen? Join us as we peel back the layers of time to uncover the truth behind the feathered serpent's pyramid. Allow the spirit of the ancient city to transport you to a world where the line between myth and reality blurs, and the secrets of the past come to life. The year is 100 CE, and you stand in the heart of the Valley of Mexico. Before you, the grand city of Teotihuacan sprawls in all its glory, a testament to an unknown people who crafted a metropolis of staggering scale and beauty. The Pyramid of the Sun, the second largest in Mesoamerica, rises like a colossal sentinel, its summit lost in the clouds. To the north, the Avenue of the Dead stretches towards the distant mountains like a tangible thread connecting the earth to the heavens. On either side of this sacred thoroughfare, temples and plazas stand in silent contemplation, each bearing witness to the ebb and flow of life that once pulsed through this city. But who were the architects of this urban marvel, and what inspired their creation? The story of Teotihuacan is a tapestry woven with threads of mystery and intrigue. The city's origins are veiled in antiquity, its builders unknown. Yet their legacy lives on in the grandeur of the structures they left behind. As you walk down the Avenue of the Dead, the Pyramid of the Moon, smaller but no less imposing, comes into view. Its shadow stretches long before it, a silent guardian watching over the bustling activity below. Here in the urban center, life is at its most vibrant. Merchants hawk their wares. Children chase each other through the crowded streets, and the air is thick with the aroma of food being prepared for the day ascend. But as the sun begins its slow descent, casting long shadows across the city, you can't help but feel a sense of unease. What happened to the people of Teotihuacan? Where did they go, and why was this once great city abandoned? The answer, like the identity of its builders, remains elusive. In the 3rd century CE, the classic Maya civilization reached its zenith in the Yucatan Peninsula. Great cities like Tikal and Palenque flourished, their temples reaching for the heavens and their palaces adorned with intricate carvings, depicting the gods and rulers of this advanced society. But as you make your way through these magnificent structures, you can't shake off a sense of foreboding. For in the 9th century, during what is known as the classic Maya collapse, these cities were mysteriously abandoned, leaving behind only empty monuments and crumbling walls. The next 2 centuries witness a gradual transformation in the political landscape of Mesoamerica. The once powerful city-states of the Maya gradually lose their prominence, giving way to the rise of new centers of power, including the enigmatic city of Teotihuacan. And here our journey ends for today. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the past, remember to stay tuned for more captivating stories. Until then, may the echoes of ancient wisdom guide you and the spirit of adventure keep you ever curious. Thank you. Just northeast of Mexico City, a sprawling metropolis was home to over 100,000 souls. It was a hub of trade, art, and ritual, a place where merchants from all over Mesoamerica came to buy and sell their wares, where priests conducted ceremonies to appease the gods, and where kings built towering pyramids to dominate the skyline. This was Teotihuacan, the place where the gods were created. But who were the gods, and who were their creators? That's what we'll find out in today's episode. Picture this. The year is 250 AD, and you are standing at the center of a bustling marketplace. Merchants from all over Mesoamerica have gathered here to buy and sell their goods. You hear the familiar call of a hawker selling obsidian blades, the rich, dark chocolate of cacao beans, and the rhythmic clang of a hammer on hot metal. The air is thick with the scent of copal incense as a priest prepares to conduct a ritual. In the distance, you see the towering pyramids of the feathered serpent and the sun, each one a monument to the gods and the priests who serve them. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, you decide to leave the market and explore the rest of the city. You stroll down the Avenue of the Dead, where the stones beneath your feet are worn smooth by centuries of traffic. The buildings are made of stucco and stone, some painted in vibrant colors, others adorned with intricate carvings. As you walk, you see artisans working in their workshops, farmers tending to their crops, and children playing in the streets. You come across a group of nobles returning from a hunt. They ride on horseback, and their dogs pant happily at their sides. The nobles are dressed in fine clothes, and their heads are adorned with feathers and jewels. One of them rides up to you and asks if you would like to buy some game. He offers you venison, rabbit, and even a small crocodile. You politely decline his offer, and he rides off. As the afternoon sun begins to set, you return to the market to find it even busier than before. The merchants are eager to sell their wares, and the shoppers are eager to buy. You pick up a small clay pot and haggle over its price. You buy some fresh fruit and vegetables, and then stop for a cup of spiced cider. As the night air grows cooler, you head back to your lodging for the night. Life in Teotihuacan was not easy. There were droughts, floods, and battles with neighboring tribes. But the people of Teotihuacan were resilient, and their civilization thrived for centuries. And that is all we know about the people of Teotihuacan, because they left no written records to name themselves. The Aztecs who came later named it the place where the gods were created. They believed that the city was a divine birthplace. But who were the gods, and who were their creators? We may never know. What we do know is that the city was founded around 250 A.D., and that it was home to a powerful king named Huitzilopochtli. We also know that the city was destroyed by an earthquake in 450 A.D., but that its people rebuilt it. And we know that the city was eventually conquered by the Mexica, who went on to found the Aztec Empire. If you want to know more about the fascinating history of Mesoamerica, stay tuned for more information. Mexico's Teotihuacan, an archaeological site just outside of Mexico City, is one of the most important Mesoamerican cities of the pre-Hispanic period. But who were the Teotihuacanos? That's what we're exploring today. The name Teotihuacan means place where the gods made us, or place of the gods. The inhabitants called themselves the people of the sun. Their empire lasted from roughly 200 BCE to 500 CE. Although there is evidence of occupation dating back to 600 BCE at its peak, the city sprawled across 22 square miles, rivaling Rome at the height of its power. Its population is estimated to have reached 150,000, making it one of the largest cities in the ancient world. What we know about the Teotihuacanos comes from the artifacts they left behind, the tools of their daily lives, and the grand monuments they built. Archaeologists have uncovered fragments of their past, their tools brushing away centuries of dust, revealing a people, a culture, a story. Imagine standing in the courtyard of an apartment compound, the very picture of domestic bliss, when suddenly your eyes fall on a wall painting, a mural. The colors still vivid after all these years, red, blue, and ochre. In it, you see jaguars, powerful symbols of the Mesoamerican cultures, and feathered serpents, possibly representing the rain god Tlatelolco. These works of art are not just pretty to look at. They tell the story of a people deeply connected to nature, attuned to the rhythm of the rain, the life cycle of the jaguar, the feathered serpent. They are a reminder that this was not just a city, it was a living, breathing community. As you walk through the city, you come across an obsidian blade, sharp and sleek, a testament to the Teotihuacan's skill as craftsmen. You find a green stone mask, the eyes inlaid with turquoise, possibly depicting one of their rulers. And everywhere there is pottery, some with storm gods, thundering across the surface, others with everyday scenes, perhaps a market or a ritual. Each artifact is like a page in a book, giving you a glimpse into the life of the Teotihuacanos. The city is a treasure trove of history, each ruin whispering tales of a glorious past. The Pyramid of the Moon, the Avenue of the Dead, the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent. These are not just landmarks, they are legacies. Legacies of a people who once walked these streets, whose souls are forever entwined with this place. Mexico's Teotihuacan is more than just an archaeological site. It's a portal to the past, a window into the soul of a great city and its people. As you explore the ruins, you can't help but feel a sense of awe, a connection to something larger than yourself. Because here in this place of the gods, you are walking in the footsteps of history. Who founded Teotihuacan? It's one of the great mysteries of the ancient world. Some scholars think it was a local people, perhaps the ancestors of the Nahua, who over centuries built up their sacred center from nearby villages. Others argue that migrants from the distant Maya or Zapotic regions arrived with tools and building styles that they adapted to the new environment. But no one knows for sure. What we do know is that the people who built this city were incredibly strong. Imagine workers hauling huge stones from distant quarries. Their backs are bent under the weight as they trudge through the dust, which rises in giant clouds around them. The Pyramid of the Moon, with its plaza framed by temples, may have been a stage for rituals to gods like the great goddess. Her image is carved in stone, her presence felt in the scent of copal incense. Yet there's no king's name, no dynasty's glyphs to tell us who ruled this vast empire. Unlike in Mayan cities, where kings built pyramids as their tombs and left behind detailed genealogical records, the rulers of Teotihuacan are unknown. Was the city ruled by a council, a priesthood, or perhaps a long line of forgotten monarchs? It's a tantalizing mystery, one that drives archaeologists to the brink of madness. But it's also what makes Teotihuacan so magical. As I wander through the ruins, I can't help but feel a sense of wonder at the ingenuity and determination of the people who built this place. They may have been ruled by a king, but they built their city with their own hands. And that legacy lives on today in the awe-inspiring ruins of Teotihuacan. Now it's your turn to explore. Click on the link below to take a 3D tour of Teotihuacan and see more of these amazing pyramids. Around 550 CE, the great city of Teotihuacan was abandoned. Its palaces were burned, but it's unclear if they were burned by invaders or by the city's own people. You can imagine the final days, the air thick with smoke, the once vibrant plazas falling silent. But what led to this dramatic end? We don't know for sure, but archaeologists have some ideas. They found charred beams and scattered tools, suggesting a sudden end. Maybe drought dried up the valley's springs, and without water, the city couldn't sustain itself. But that doesn't explain why the palaces were burned. There's also evidence of internal strife, perhaps between the elites and the commoners. Some scholars think the commoners revolted against the elites, but there are broken statues, not of the common folk, but of the rulers. So maybe it was the elites who destroyed the city. Another theory is that the trade routes just shifted, and Teotihuacan, with its empire in decline, became isolated and vulnerable. There are a lot of theories, but the stones of Teotihuacan hold their secrets close. Pollen records do hint at environmental straying, but a burned palace tells only part of the story. What's clear is that Teotihuacan didn't just fall. It was a slow decline over many years. But the exact cause, the drought, the rebellion, or the changing trade routes, it's up to the stones to decide. So next time you're in Mexico City, take a day trip to Teotihuacan. Explore the pyramids, walk among the ruins, and imagine the lives of those who lived and died here. Because while the cause may be lost to time, the legacy lives on in the magnificent ruins of Teotihuacan. Thanks for watching. See you next time. The great city of Teotihuacan, the Valley of the Moon, was once a bustling metropolis, the cultural and economic heart of central Mexico. At its peak in the 6th century CE, it was home to over 100,000 people, a cosmopolitan hub of trade and innovation. But just a few decades later, it was abandoned. Its palaces were burned, its great avenues deserted. And the reason for this shocking decline is as mysterious as its spectacular rise. In the 1st century BCE, the nomadic indigenous tribes of the Valley of Mexico began to coalesce under the rule of a single king. By the 4th century, they'd forged a powerful state that controlled trade in obsidian, a prized material for making tools and weapons. But how they accomplished this is unknown. No written records survived from this early period, and the city's monumental architecture was not constructed with mortar. So deciphered inscriptions have been impossible to date. All we know comes from archaeological finds, and what has been found is extraordinary. Beneath the modern city of Teotihuacan, archaeologists uncovered the ruins of a sophisticated urban center. Its impressive pyramids and palaces rivaled those of the Maya and the Nazca. In fact, it was the capital of one of the largest pre-Columbian cities in Mesoamerica, covering some 20 square miles with imposing walls that enclosed a grid of neighborhoods, each with their own plazas, artisans, and farmers markets, along with the remains of at least 4 major pyramids and several ball courts. What's more, its rulers enjoyed an unprecedented level of wealth and power. Obsidian, jade, copper, even gold flowed into the city, along with exotic animals from across Mesoamerica. And yet, despite its seemingly cushy lifestyle, Teotihuacan was ultimately undone by something very sudden. Charred roof beams and scattered tools suggest that its 100,000 or so inhabitants packed up and left in a hurry, sometime around 550 CE. But why? Some scholars believe that drought dried up the valley springs, ending the water surplus that had sustained the city. Others argue that internal strife, perhaps between the elites and commoners, fractured the city's unity. A third theory proposes that changing trade routes left Teotihuacan isolated and vulnerable. Each theory has its evidence. Pollen records indicate severe environmental strain. Broken statues suggest popular rebellion. But in the end, the stones keep their secrets, leading us to wonder what it was that caused the sudden collapse of one of Mesoamerica's greatest cities. For more about ancient civilizations, stay tuned. The breeze stirs, carrying the scent of wild grasses and distant rain. The pyramids, though silent, seem to hum with the rhythm of a lost world. Teotihuacan's mystery invites us to pause, to imagine lives lived in its shadow, their stories etched in stone but never fully told. Let your mind linger here, in the quiet of the unknown, as the city's enigma wraps around you like a gentle mist. Pause. From the ancient stones of Teotihuacan, let's turn to a different facet of the Aztec world, one of sacred power and divine duty. Imagine yourself not in the market or the ruins, but atop a pyramid in Tenochtitlan, where a priest serves as the voice of the gods. You are Itzcotl, a humble servant of the divine, and the fate of the empire rests upon your shoulders. The year is 1473, and the sun god, Huitzilopochtli, has demanded a human sacrifice to appease his hunger and ensure the continuation of the world as they know it. But the victim is not just any ordinary citizen. No, it is none other than the captured king of the neighboring city of Texcoco. He stands before you, adorned in finery, a stark contrast to the rough-hewn priests that surround him. Despite his fear, one can see the remnants of the proud ruler in his bearing, even as he cowers before the coming doom. Your heart goes out to him not because you condone his actions, for he was a fierce warrior, a conqueror just like the Aztec kings. But because in his eyes you see a reflection of yourself, a glimpse of the terrible duty that awaits you. For you have been chosen, Itzcotl, to spill the king's blood and offer it to the gods. Your hands tremble as you grip the sacrificial knife, the obsidian blade catching the firelight and sending sparks flying. With each step you take toward the bound king, the crowd's anticipation grows louder, their voices a dull roar in your ears. You glance back at the imposing figure of the high priest, his face impassive, a stark contrast to the turmoil in your own heart. This is your initiation, your rite of passage into the priesthood. To refuse is to refuse the gods, and the consequences of such an act are unthinkable. As you stand above the waiting king, the weight of the empire's fate seems to settle upon your shoulders. The life of the captured king, the future of your people, the very survival of the world as they know it, all hang in the balance. The first cut is the deepest, and with it, the story of Itzcotl, the reluctant priest, is born. What will happen next? Only time and the gods will tell. Your fingers tighten around the staff, topped with a snarling jaguarundi, its obsidian eyes gleaming like those of the sun god. Below, the great city of Tenochtitlan sprawls like a feathered serpent. Its many serpents, its many coils, its many heads, all shimmering in the midday sun. The air thick with the smell of copal incense swirls around you, carrying with it the murmur of the city, the distant beat of a tribal drum, the cries of vendors in the marketplace, and the gentle lapping of water against the sides of the Templo Mayor. Here atop the twin pyramids, you are far from the grinding toil of the market vendor. Here the only sounds that reach you are the sighing of the wind through the trees, the distant cry of a hawk, and the soft shuffle of feet on the stone stairs, as other priests make their way to the temple summit. The sky is a dome of brilliant blue, unmarred by a single cloud, stretching endlessly above the city and the two great pyramids that pierce it. You are a priest of the sun god, Tlatelolco, and your world is one of ritual and sacrifice, of keeping the celestial fires burning bright to ensure the continued existence of the world. Your days are spent in prayer and ceremony, your nights in feasting and celebration. You have studied the sacred books, deciphering the will of the gods, and your understanding of the cosmos is deep and your connection to the divine is strong. Atop the Templo Mayor, you feel a sense of peace and purpose that the world below can neither give nor take away. For here you are one with the eternal cycle of day and night, of life and death, of sacrifice and rebirth. And as long as the sun god shines his radiant light upon the earth, you will stand as his humble servant, ensuring that the world keeps turning and the people keep living. The sun climbs higher in the sky, and with it, the heat of the day intensifies. You raise your head in reverence as a priest approaches, carrying a smoking bundle of copal. The scent of pine fills your nostrils, mingling with the earthy aroma of the city below. The priest chants softly, his voice echoing the ancient words that have carried down through generations. You join in, your voices rising and falling in harmony, and the chant becomes a prayer, a plea to the gods for guidance, protection, and wisdom. As the hours pass, the sun's rays begin their slow retreat, casting long shadows across the temple. The sky, once a brilliant blue, now takes on the hues of the setting sun, fiery reds and oranges that blaze across the horizon. It's a reminder that even in the midst of the eternal, the cyclical nature of time is never far away. Soon the twin pyramids will be plunged into darkness, and with it, the day's rituals will come to an end. But for now, the sun still shines, and you still stand atop the Templo Mayor, a guardian of the sacred, a keeper of the flame. The first rays of dawn paint the eastern sky with hues of rose and gold as I awaken in the temple's embrace. The air is cool and still, scented with the faint musk of aged stone and the sweet, earthy aroma of marigolds. I rise from my mat, finer than most, and step onto the cold stone floor. My weavers have outdone themselves, crafting a garment of embroidered cotton for me to wear. It is a breechcloth, a mark of my status, my dignity, my connection to the gods. Over my shoulders I throw a mantle, its edges trimmed with feathers that softly rustle with my every move. Adorning my ears, I wear ornaments of jade and obsidian that clink softly with each turn of my head. A necklace of polished stones rests against my chest. A crown of feathers, plumes, and inlaid shells sits atop my head. Its weight is a constant reminder of the responsibility I carry, of the voice for the gods that I am to be. My attendants are silent, their presence as calming as the still waters of a mountain lake. They bring me a gourd of cacao, its bitter warmth spreading through my limbs like a blessing. Steadying my hands, they place it before me and wait. I take a sip, savoring the taste, feeling it awaken my senses, preparing me for the day ahead. As I am, I step out into the rising sun, ready to greet the new day, to perform the rituals that connect us to the divine, to keep the world in balance. And as I do, I know that I am not alone. The gods are with me, their presence a solace, their power a strength that sustains me. Today, like every day, we will seek their favor, their blessings, their light. For in their embrace, we find our purpose, our duty, our way of life. So let the world turn to us, the children of the sun, the heirs of the earth, and let all creation rejoice in the goodness of the gods. The fate of the world rests on your shoulders. Every day you ascend the 72 steps of the Templo Mayor, each one a prayer, to an altar where offerings await. The air is thick with the scent of copal, sharp and resinous, as you kindle the incense. Its smoke, a physical manifestation of your devotion, rises toward the heavens, carrying your prayers to the gods. You lead ceremonies to honor Huitzilopochtli, the sun god, and Tlatelolco, the rain god. Your voice rises in chants, weaving tales of their deeds, accompanied by the soft beat of a drum and the eerie wail of conch shells. The people, their faces painted in vibrant colors, their bodies adorned with feathers and flowers, sway to the rhythm, their voices joining yours in a chorus of devotion. These rituals are more than just ceremonies. They are the lifeblood of the empire, a constant reminder of the fragility of existence. The offerings you present are not merely symbolic. They are a testament to the interconnectedness of all things, a recognition that the fate of the sun, the rain, the earth, and humanity are all intertwined. Today, you honor Huitzilopochtli with the traditional tribute of maize, its golden kernels spilling from a vase like molten sunlight. Tomorrow, it will be Tlatelolco's turn, and you will offer him the precious liquid of the agave plant, a sacrifice that ensures the continuation of life-giving rains. And in the rare moments when the gods demand something more, something to appease their wrath or turn their favor, you do not hesitate. You lead the procession to the outer courts, where a different kind of offering is made, a tribute that echoes the ancient sacrifices of the past. Your heart pounds in your chest, not with fear, but with the weight of responsibility. For in this moment, you are not just a priest. You are the conduit between the earthly and the divine, the keeper of the world's balance. As you watch the smoke curl and twist, carrying your prayers aloft. You know that the fate of the world quite literally rests on your shoulders. But even as the pressure mounts and the rituals grow more intense, there is a strange sense of calm that settles over you. You are reminded of the ancient prophecy, the one that foretold the return of the gods, of how the priests would play a crucial role in bringing them back into the world. And in that knowledge, you find strength, purpose, and a strange, unsettling peace. After all, what is a ritual if not a conversation with the divine? And who better to speak on behalf of the people than you, the humble priest of the great temple? You are a Tlatelolco priest, an interpreter of the divine will. The gods demand your wisdom as much as your devotion. You study the stars from the temple's summit, their patterns a map of divine will. The Tlatelolco, the Aztec ritual calendar, guides your pronouncements, when to plant, when to wage war, when to crown an emperor. But the gods are fickle, and their signs are veiled in mystery. You must also consult the codices, their bark pages painted with glyphs. Their rustle is a soft counterpoint to the chanting priests below as you turn them in the torchlight, the scent of aged pigment and wood lingering like prayer smoke around you. Each book is a universe unto itself, filled with prophecies and histories, its secrets entrusted to you by long dead hands. Your words carry weight. A misread omen could bring famine or defeat, and the emperor himself seeks your counsel in the palace's shadowed halls. His eyes, sharp and searching, mirror the starlight you read each night. He has come for an audience, but the truth is, the emperor is also your student. You see the same patterns in the heavens that he does, and you teach him what you learn, sharing the wisdom of the ancients to guide his rule. It is a heavy burden, but who better than you to advise him? Who else could decipher the will of the gods as expressed through the movements of the stars and the rustling of ancient pages? As long as you stand in the temples atop the sacred mountain, you will be their guide, their protector, their shield against the unknown. And if you listen closely, you might just hear the whisper of the gods themselves, praising you for your service, thanking you for unlocking the secrets of their celestial dance. Your life is one of privilege, yet not without sacrifice. You fast for days before major rituals, your body weakened, but your spirit focused. The hunger a quiet offering to the gods. Your meals, when taken, are rich tamales of turkey, avocados and cacao sweetened with honey served in a temple courtyard, where the air is cooled by the breeze through woven screens. The sound of water in a stone fountain, a marvel of Aztec engineering, soothes the space. You are a priest of the sun god, and your days are structured around the rising and setting of his heavenly fire. At dawn, you rouse with the first rays, already making offerings to the elements, ensuring the day's rituals go smoothly. As the hours pass, your duties increase. You direct the preparation of sacred foods, each ingredient carefully chosen, each step a prayer. When the emperor comes to pay his respects, you must be ready with the right words and incense to greet him. The emperor's favor is a dangerous thing. It grants you access to power and prestige, but it's also a precarious perch from which to live. For there are many who would see you fall, especially now. Rival priests whisper in the shadows, hoping to take your place. And even the emperor's sister, the Lady of the Sun, envies the devotion you receive. She, who has borne the burden of the divine kingship thrust upon her brother, yearns for the simpler life of the priesthood. As the sun god's priest, you are the focus of a dangerous game. You sense the undercurrent of menace beneath the bustling activity of the temple. A careless word or an accidental spill could set off a deadly chain of events. The Lady of the Sun, desperate for an heir, might accuse you of a misstep. The rival priests, sensing weakness, might seize upon a mistake. You move through this world of intrigue with a carefully crafted facade, your true feelings hidden behind a mask of piety. Your sanctuary is the temple, but even here, safety is an illusion. For in the dead of night, when the moon is a sliver in the sky, the veil between the worlds grows thin, and with it, the dangers of your faith intensify. The jaguar god, the lord of the night, stirs in his obsidian realm, and with him the most fearsome demons awaken. They come for the unwary, seeking to drag them into the eternal darkness. You stand ready, your prayers a bulwark against the encroaching shadows. The fate of the world, it seems, hangs on every word you utter. The city looks to you as a divine intermediary, but also as a leader. You oversee the training of young priests, their voices echoing in the temple school, and you manage offerings stored in sacred vaults, all the while keeping a watchful eye on the city. You walk the city's causeways, your presence a symbol of stability. Though when you reach the lake's edge, you are reminded of the empire's fragility, the treacherous waters lapping at the shore, mirroring the capriciousness of the gods. You know the balance you maintain is as delicate as the feathers in your cloak. As evening falls, you return to the temple. The stars are bright above, the city's lights reflecting on the water below. You stand alone, the air cool, the scent of copal fading into the night. For a moment you are still, the weight of your duty a quiet hum beneath you. Then you raise your head, the vastness of the sky above, the city's heartbeat a gentle pulse beneath you, and you offer a final prayer, a prayer for the city, for the empire, and for the dawn to come. The fire in the temple is almost out. Only a few embers glow in the dark, and you blow gently on them, sending sparks flying upwards. They catch the wind and vanish into the inky blackness above. Your eyes, however, do not leave the flames. You see in their flickering light the image of the great God, his fierce visage a reminder of the power you serve. You remember his every feature, the sharp obsidian of his eyes, the jaguar skin across his chest, the blood dripping from his hand. He is the god of war, the bringer of both destruction and creation. And as you gaze into the fire, you see in its depths the fate of the city, the rise and fall of empires, the endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth. When the fire fades completely, you step forward, your face illuminated by the last of the embers. You are the keeper of the sacred flame, and it is your duty to keep it burning, just as it is your duty to keep the city safe. As long as the fire burns, the city is protected. But if it goes out, who knows what darkness might consume Tenochtitlan? And so we leave the Aztec world behind, the vendor's bustling market, the emperor's golden reign, the ancient enigma of Teotihuacan's stones, and the priest's sacred perch atop the pyramid. It was a world of vibrancy and sacrifice, where every life, from the humblest to the holiest, was woven into the rhythm of the gods and the city they built on a lake. As you lie here now, warm and safe, let the echoes of that time fade, like the ripples of a canoe gliding through Tenochtitlan's canals. The struggles of the market, the triumphs of Moctezuma, the mysteries of the lost city, the rituals of the temple, they belong to a distant past, a tapestry rich with human endurance and awe. But the night is far from over. There are more stories to tell, more songs to sing, more dreams to share. We journey now to lands of myth and legend, where the veil between worlds is thin and magic whispers on the wind. Close your eyes, dear listener, and drift with me to a realm where the ordinary fades and the extraordinary comes alive. For here in this mystical place, the rules of our world no longer apply. Here, animals speak to each other in their own language. Here, plants dance with the spirits of the earth. Here, rivers flow upwards to the sky, and mountains sing songs of ancient wisdom. In this magical realm, the wind carries secrets from distant stars, and the trees bear witness to the passage of time. Oh, how I long to explore these enchanted realms with you, to lose ourselves in the labyrinthine paths that wind through this mystical landscape. But alas, our journey must continue. For beyond this enchanted realm lies another world, a world of wonder and excitement, a world of pure imagination. And so, my dear listener, I invite you to join me once again on this grand adventure. Let us frolic through fields of stars, soar through the skies on the wings of imagination, and dive deep into the oceans of make-believe. For tonight, we are not bound by the laws of reality. Tonight, we are free to explore the boundless realms of fantasy and dreams. Oh, what wondrous tales we shall uncover, what magical creatures we shall encounter, what fantastical adventures await us in this realm of make-believe. So come, my friend, and let us lose ourselves in the magic. Let us dance with the fairies, fly with the unicorns, and sing with the talking animals. For in this world, anything is possible, and our hearts are the only limit to our adventures. Picture the lake one last time, its waters so still, a mirror to the heavens, reflecting the countless stars that pepper the inky black canvas above. In the distance, the pyramids stand guard, their ancient presence a silent, watchful sentinel over the sleeping world. The Aztec Empire, with all its glory and all its trials, has long since slipped through the fingers of time, becoming a whisper on the wind, a memory in the hearts of those who knew it best. But its stories linger, soft as a whisper on the breeze, waiting to be carried away on the wings of the night. Let your mind drift, carried by the rhythm of those lives now long gone, the ebb and flow of a civilization that once thrived where the bustling city now stands. Feel the warmth of their fires, hear the murmur of their voices as they weave tales of their gods and heroes under the same stars that blaze tonight. Above, let their stories wrap around you like a blanket, soothing and comforting, a lullaby from a bygone era. The world is quiet now. The fire is low. The city is a gentle hum of slumbering life. And you, weary traveler, are welcome to rest here for a while. Let the whispers of the past rock you to sleep, and when you wake, the sun will paint the sky with hues of gold and crimson, reminding you of the beauty that each new day brings. For even in the heart of a bustling city, the echoes of history resonate, waiting for those who listen with an open heart and an open mind. So sleep now, traveler, and dream of empires long gone. Let the past hold you gently until morning. Here, nestled between the ancient stones and the whispering stars, time seems to stand still. The worries of the world fade into the background, replaced by the soft lapping of water and the distant call of a lonely bird. It's a symphony of peace that envelops you, inviting you to let go and simply be. In this sanctuary of tranquility, you are both seen and unseen, heard but not listened to, an observer of the timeless dance between past and present. The night is alive with the energy of 1,000 stories waiting to be discovered, and you are the protagonist of your own adventure. So close your eyes, dear traveler, and embrace the magic of this place. Let the whispers of history guide you into a realm where the boundaries of time are blurred and the wonders of the past come to life in the stillness of the night. In the year of our Lord 1348, a dreadful sickness descended upon the world. From the bustling cities of Italy to the quaint villages of France, it spread its icy fingers, stealing breath and bringing down burning fevers. Our tale begins in a humble village nestled amidst rolling hills and vineyards, a place much like any other until the grim reaper came calling. Amongst the villagers were two families, the Lawrence and the Valois, bound by a shared history and a deep bond of friendship. Their children, Isabella and Pierre, were the best of friends, spending their days in make-believe adventures and their nights sharing stories around flickering candelabers. Life was good, and their laughter echoed through the sun-drenched streets. But the tranquility was shattered with the arrival of a merchant from the city, bearing tales of a terrible pestilence that was sweeping the land, taking loved ones and leaving homes empty. Soon after, the first case was reported in their village. A chill wind carried the news of the sickness to Isabella and Pierre as they played by the river. The carefree world they knew was about to be swept away. With the innocence of youth, they decided to flee to the hills, seeking refuge in the vastness of the fields. Days turned into weeks, and a playful banter by the river became a distant memory. The once vibrant village was now a graveyard of memories, the laughter replaced by the sobs of the dying. As winter approached, the survivors emerged from their hiding places, shivering and alone. The land they had known all their lives had been irrevocably altered. And as the first buds of spring appeared, so did the ghosts of the past. Amongst them were Isabella and Pierre, forever changed by the ordeal, bound together by their loss and the chilling echo of the plague that had nearly taken them. The story of survival and sacrifice serves as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. Through their ordeal, the characters demonstrate the power of friendship, courage, and the unwavering hope for a better tomorrow. Their tale, a testament to the strength that resides within us all, urging us to confront our fears and persevere through life's most challenging moments. It's a story that resonates with anyone who has faced hardship, offering a beacon of light in times of darkness, and reminding us that even in the bleakest of winters, the promise of spring always awaits. So ends our tale of survival and sacrifice. May the memory of those lost during the plague serve as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing each moment. And may the bravery of those who endured this dark chapter in history inspire us to face our own challenges with courage and resilience. As we reflect on this somber story, let us also celebrate the indomitable spirit of humanity and our capacity for love, compassion, and hope, even in the darkest of times. For in the face of adversity, we discover the true meaning of strength, empathy, and the enduring power of the human soul. You survived the plague, but what now? Your thatched cottage is damp and cold, and the specter of death lingers in the air, thick and cloying like the smoke from your meager fire. Outside, the wind whispers through the skeletal trees, their branches clawing at the sky. You pull your coarse linen shirt tighter against the chill. It offers little warmth, but the illusion of security is enough to coax another shivering breath from your lungs. Days bleed into weeks, each identical to the last, the silence deafening. The faces of the dead crowd your memory, their vacant eyes staring accusingly. You tend your small garden, pulling weeds and planting seeds, the rhythm of life a dull echo of what it once was. The tools in your calloused hands have never felt heavier. Each swing of the hoe, Each strike of the rake is a battle against despair. The forest at the edge of the village is your only solace, its dense undergrowth concealing the horrors that unfolded here. You gather herbs and berries, their vibrant colors a splash of life in a monochrome world. You remember when this place teemed with villagers, when the air was filled with the murmur of voices and the scent of wood smoke. Now it's a graveyard of memories. The full moon hangs like a spectral lantern in the inky sky, and the shadows it casts stretch long and distorted, grotesque parodies of life. In the daytime, the relentless sun beats down, baking the earth and intensifying the stench of decay that permeates the village. The houses are empty, their doors hanging from their hinges like gaping wounds. The Black Death may have spared you, but it has not been kind. It has stolen your loved ones, your neighbors, your friends. All you have now is grief and the gnawing fear of solitude. The wind shifts, carrying with it the scent of rain and the whisper of crows. You pull your threadbare cloak tighter around you and turn toward home. The thatch roof of your cottage offers scant protection from the elements. Inside, the walls are slick with moisture, and the fire has died to embers. You collapse onto the straw pallet that serves as your bed, the silence pressing in from all sides. The rhythmic drip of water is the soundtrack to your despair. And as the night deepens, so does your loneliness. The killer may be gone, but its legacy of fear and death lingers, a heavy shroud over your life. The day begins with caution. You step outside, and the village is a ghost. No smoke curls from the chimneys. No children's laughter drifts from the houses. Only the wind whispers through the empty streets, rustling the long grasses that have reclaimed the cobblestones. The fields stretch before you, empty, untended, their crops rotting in the furrows. The air is thick with the faint tang of decay. The homes are abandoned, their windows vacant eye sockets staring into the middle distance. You grip your staff tighter, its wood worn smooth from years of use, both to steady your steps on the uneven muddy path and to keep strangers at a distance. The plague, though receding, still lingers in your fears. Every cough is a threat, every stranger a potential harbinger of its return. You keep moving, foraging for food, gathering wild herbs or gleaning grain from the overgrown fields. Your hands are pricked by thorns, your fingers numb in the morning frost. But the land that sustains you also isolates you. You are alone. The sun climbs higher, the shadows growing shorter. The scent of damp earth and crushed mint clings to you, a reminder of the land that both sustains and isolates you. In the silence of the empty fields, you are not truly alone. There is an unsettling stillness all around you, a quiet that swallows your footsteps, muffling the sounds of the living. As the light begins to fade, you seek shelter in the crumbling ruins of a watchtower, its stones worn smooth by countless seasons of wind and rain. Inside, the air is thick with the dust of ages past. Moonlight filters through the broken parapet, painting the floor in silver shards. You curl up on the cold stone floor, pulling your threadbare cloak more closely around you. Sleep comes fitfully, punctuated by the rustling of unseen creatures in the night. Dreams, if you can call them that, weave in and out of your consciousness, half-remembered scenes of a life before, a time when the world was full sound and the fields were filled with people. With the first light of dawn, you are up and at it again, another day in the unending cycle of solitude and survival. The land is yours, and yet you are utterly alone. The wind whispers through the tall grasses, carrying with it the scent of distant rain and the memory of a world that was. Your home is a fragile sanctuary. You stoke a small fire, its embers barely warming the cramped space, the smoke curling up through a hole in the thatch. Outside, the wind whispers through the long grass, carrying with it the scent of rain and the murmur of a distant stream. The sun, a pale ghost behind the clouds, offers little warmth. Each morning you rise with the first light, the chill of the pre-dawn air seeping into your bones. The day's work waits, collecting water from the stream, its current biting icy fingers against your skin, or patching the holes in your cottage walls with mud and straw, the mixture gritty and uncomfortable under your nails. Your small fire offers little warmth, so you pull on every scrap of clothing you have, huddling indoors with your meager possessions, a thin blanket, a chipped clay pot, a broken stool. The forest surrounding your home is both provider and predator. In its depth, you might find wild berries, their tartness a fleeting pleasure on your tongue, or stumble upon the remnants of a deer, picked clean by crows, its ribs stark against the mud. There is little game here now, not since the people left, and the memory of their departure is a fresh wound. You can still see the hastily constructed barricades at the village entrance, the silent testimony to a terror that drove them from their homes. Your days are filled with the quiet tasks of survival, gathering sticks for the fire, weaving a basket to mend a broken pot, stringing up a net to catch fish in the stream. The forest is patient, its rhythms unchanged by your small efforts. Squirrels chatter in the trees, birds cry out, and the wind whispers through the long grass, carrying the scent of rain and the murmur of a distant stream. The sun, a pale ghost behind the clouds, offers little warmth. When evening shadows lengthen, you return to your small cottage, its thatched roof offering a meager protection from the elements. Inside, you prepare a thin porridge of barley, its bland taste and coarse texture offering little comfort. Perhaps you have a root dug from the forest floor, its faint warmth a reminder of a time when the earth yielded its bounty more freely. You eat slowly, savoring each mouthful, grateful for the sustenance it provides. As darkness falls, you gather around your small fire, its flames dancing shadows on the wall. You think of your neighbors, their absence a heavy weight on your heart. You remember the laughter that echoed around the village well, now silent and swaying in the breeze, its bucket a lonely metronome marking the passage of time. Fear stirs within you, a constant companion in the gnawing darkness, the knowledge that you are not truly safe, that the world outside is full of dangers both seen and unseen. You are not safe here, not safe at all. For though the disease may have passed you by, leaving your village eerily empty, the danger is far from over. Bandits roam the countryside, drawn to villages left undefended. And when they hear tell of a lone survivor hiding in a cottage, they will come. They will come for what little you have, for the meager possessions that you've managed to cling to. A clay pot, a worn knife. They would take it all from you if given half the chance. And so you hide in the safety of the cottage, watching the forests around you, listening to the wind as it whispers through the trees. At dusk, you hear the wolves. Their howls are faint, and the forest is deep, but still you hear them. And as the night grows later, the silence is broken only by the crackling of the fire you've made to keep the cold at bay. You've heard stories of desperate survivors who've turned to theft, whose eyes are hollow and dark, haunted by the hunger that gnaws at their insides. They come out of the forest sometimes, these desperate souls, and they take what they need, what they can carry, and they leave nothing behind for others who might follow in their wake. But you stay in your hiding place, in the cottage that has become your refuge, waiting for the sun to rise and chase away the shadows that gather at its edges. You mend your cloak by the firelight, the needle pricking your fingers, a small, sharp pain that tells you that you are alive. You carve a simple cross from a piece of wood, its grain smooth under your touch, and you make a prayer for those who've died and for those who live, a small act of hope in the face of the darkness that surrounds you. And when the sun finally rises, you step outside, blinking at the light, and you breathe in the fresh air, grateful for each new day, for each moment that you are spared, for the strength that you find within yourself to keep going, to keep hoping, to keep believing that there is a world beyond this one that you are waiting for. Every moment is shaped by the shadow of the plague. You avoid the homes in the village, their doors hanging open, their silence a half-remembered lullaby. The very air is thick with stories of entire towns erased, of fields left fallow, of a world unmoored. But there are moments when the beauty almost overwhelms you. Like the golden light of dawn spilling over the hills, the rustle of leaves in the ancient oak grove, or the taste of a rare blackberry, sharp and sweet on your tongue. These moments sustain you, but they cannot erase the ache of loss that lingers in your bones. As evening falls, you return to your cottage. The fire has dwindled to glowing embers. The air is cool with the promise of night. You lie on your straw mattress, the wind whispering through the thatch of the roof, and for a while you let sleep pull you into its fragile embrace. In the morning, you rise with the sun, drawn to the window by the insistent blue light. Outside, the day is born, a new beginning. Inside, the remnants of night linger. The fire is cold, the bread crusty, the pot empty. The silence in the room is deafening. Then you step outside, and the wind, it seems to carry the whispers of the lost, the echo of laughter, and the murmur of voices. It's a symphony of absence, a requiem for the dead. You start your day with a prayer, a play for strength, for courage, for a sliver of hope in this unending night. The shadows of the plague may be long, but you are stronger. You tend to your small garden, pulling weeds, planting seeds, nurturing life in the midst of death. Each small victory, each tiny green shoot pushing through the soil, is a testament to your resilience. As the day progresses, you feel a growing unease, a premonition of danger. You pull your hood tighter, trying to disappear into the gray expanse. The road ahead seems to stretch endlessly, a ribbon of despair. Each step takes you further from the fading warmth of the hearth, deeper into the encroaching gloom. The weight of the plague's shadow grows heavier with every mile, and when the darkness finally envelops you, you seek solace in the familiar chill of your cottage. The fire is low, but it's a beacon in the encroaching dark. The air is cool, the silence comforting. You are home, or what remains of home. The wind whispers tales of those who have succumbed to the plague, their voices mingling with the rustling leaves. It's a mournful symphony, a dirge for the departed. Yet even in the darkness, there is a strange beauty. The stars are sharp and cold in the night sky, and the moon, a pale ghost, hangs in the inky blackness. You lie on your straw mattress, wrapped in the thin blanket, and you pray for a world that might be, for a life untouched by the plague's relentless shadow. Sleep, when it comes, is a fitful thing, a brief respite before the nightmares arrive, chasing each other through the labyrinth of your dreams. Ah, so you survived the plague. You emerge from your self-imposed exile to find your village changed. The fields are empty, the roads are silent. No one has come back. You walk through the deserted streets, past the closed shops and houses with boarded windows. It's a ghost town. And now what? You survived the plague, but how do you survive now? This is the life of a plague survivor. Each day you wake up before sunrise and tend to your small garden, the only living thing in an otherwise lifeless landscape. You wear a simple tunic and trousers, the plague doctor's outfit, a reminder of the horror that almost took your life. The leather mask with its long beak still hangs by the door, a silent sentinel guarding your home. Your days are filled with quiet battles against despair, loneliness, and the ever-present fear of the plague's return. In the evenings, you cook your meals over an open fire, the flames dancing in the darkness like flickering candles in a graveyard. The silence is deafening, broken only by the crackling fire and the haunting cries of nocturnal birds. Sleep offers little respite. You dream of the plague, of bodies piled high, and the stench of death. You wake up gasping for breath, your heart pounding in your chest. But slowly, very slowly, life begins to stir. A bird lands on your window sill, its song a tentative trill in the vast silence. A neighbor's dog barks in the distance. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. The seasons change, but your routine never does. You continue to fight for every scrap of joy in this desolate world. You plant seeds, you weed the garden, you mend your clothes. The simple tasks anchor you to reality, pulling you back from the abyss of despair. Then one day, a traveler appears on the horizon, a lone figure silhouetted against the setting sun. He brings news from the outside world, stories of lives resuming, of people trying to forget the horrors of the plague. There is hope that the world is healing, that life is returning to normal. But as the traveler disappears into the distance, you are left alone again, your world a silent tomb. Ah, so the plague is over, but at what cost? You survived, but the world you knew is gone. The plague has left you scarred, forever changed. You are a survivor, but what does that mean when there is no one left to share your story with? When the world has moved on, and you are still stuck in the past. You are a relic of a bygone era, a living monument to the dead. But wait, pause. There is another story to tell, a story of courage and hope. It is the story of a doctor in Florence during the Black Death, a man who fought against the plague with all his might. His name was Dr. John of Montecorvino, and he was one of the few who dared to venture out into the plague-ridden city, tending to the sick and dying. Dr. John was a healer, a scientist and a humanist, a man ahead of his time. He believed that the plague could be beaten with knowledge and reason, not just faith and superstition. He studied the disease, its symptoms and its victims, and he shared his findings with anyone who would listen. He set up quarantine zones, organized medical care, and tried to find a cure. But he was not successful. Florence was overwhelmed by the plague, and Dr. John lost many patients, including his own family members. But he never gave up hope. He continued to work tirelessly until he, too, fell ill with the plague. When Dr. John died, he left behind a legacy of knowledge and hope. His work helped pave the way for modern medicine, and his story reminds us that even in the darkest of times, one person can make a difference. Imagine, if you will, that you are a doctor in Florence in the year 1348. Your world is in chaos. The Black Death has arrived and is steadily claiming its victims. The streets are running with blood, or rather with the ichor of the dying. Everywhere you turn, there is the stench of death. The air is thick with it. so much so that you seek solace in the small things, the feel of the sun on your skin, the smell of the lavender bundle in your hand. Even the sound of the wind whispering through the trees becomes a melody of sorts. For here in the heart of Florence, nature's symphony is playing, but the tune is a haunting one. It speaks of death and decay, of a world turned upside down. You walk through the narrow streets, past the shops shuttered and deserted, past the homes where the sick are quarantined, their cries muffled by the walls. You are a plague doctor, a healer. Your duty is to tend to the sick, to try to cure them, to ease their suffering. But what can you do when the disease is so new, so strange? What weapons do you have against an enemy that is invisible? A killer that strikes without warning. You reach for the bundle of lavender in your hand, inhaling its scent, and in that moment you are filled with a strange calm. You are a warrior now, though your armor is not of steel, but of wax canvas and leather. Your weapon is not a sword, but a mask, a beak mask that will become your signature. It is a symbol of your trade, but also a barrier between you and the stench of death that permeates every corner of Florence. Behind it, you are both revered and feared, a savior and a bringer of bad news. For you are the one who must tell the families when their loved ones have passed, when the fever has taken hold and will not let go. The weight of their sorrow is heavy on you, but you press on. You visit the sick, the dying, the dead. You try to stem the tide of death, but it is futile. The Black Death is relentless. It spares no one. You watch families torn apart by the disease, entire communities decimated, and all the while the wind whispers through the trees, carrying with it the scent of lavender and the specter of death. As the weeks pass, you grow thinner. Your clothes hang loose on your frame. You are haunted by the faces of the dying, their cries for help, their prayers for mercy. You are weary, but you cannot rest. You are a doctor, and as long as there is life in Florence, you must be there too. You are a solitary figure in a ravaged city, a lone warrior in a battle against an invisible enemy. And though you may not win the war, you will fight on, for as long as you can, until the very end. The year is 1348, and you are a physician. Your work begins in a city transformed. Florence, once alive with the murmur of merchants and the clatter of artisans, now echoes with the sound of muffled sobs and the creak of death carts. Where once the scent of baking bread and fresh flowers lingered, now the reek of rotting waste and unwashed bodies permeates every corner. You who were once a respected healer, trained in the texts of Galen and Avicenna, now navigate a world turned upside down by a pestilence from the east, a plague that has already claimed the lives of countless friends and colleagues. Fear is the city's new currency, shaping every interaction, every precaution, every goodbye. You pull on your mask. Its beak is stuffed with rosemary and mint, their sharp scents meant to ward off the miasma, the poisoned air believed to carry the disease. The mask's glass eyes fog with your breath, narrowing your vision to a tunnel of cobblestones and shuttered windows. The air, thick with summer's warmth, presses against your chest, each breath a reminder of the danger that clings to every cough, every handshake. Your robe, heavy and slick with wax, protects you from contagion, but it traps the heat. Your skin prickles as you move through streets thick with the stench of disease and decay. Each morning you visit the afflicted, summoned by families desperate for aid, their pleas echoing in the hollows of your heart. You enter homes where the air is stale, the shutters closed against the sun. The scent of vinegar, used to cleanse the rooms, stings your nose, mingling with the faint musk of unwashed bodies. In these hushed, darkened rooms, you see the worst of the plague's effects, the swellings, the fevers, the agonizing breaths that mark its grip. Your hands, gloved but still vulnerable, tremble slightly as you examine patients from a distance, using a wooden cane to lift their blankets, searching for any sign of improvement, any flicker of hope. Your voice, muffled by the mask, offers calm instructions. Lick here. Apply this salve there. But the words feel hollow, for many you treat will not survive. The weight of their trust, their belief that you can vanquish this pestilence, settles like a stone in your stomach. Each day you record the treatments and their effects in painstaking detail, hoping to find a pattern, a predictability in this chaos, some semblance of order. But the plague, like a relentless shadow, seems to mock your efforts, twisting and turning with capricious cruelty. You tend to the rich in their opulent homes, their panicked whispers echoing in the vast halls, and the poor in their crowded tenements, their cries blending with the wails of other grieving cities. Everywhere you see the effects of the plague, the bloated corpses laid out on cold stones, the hastily dug graves in consecrated grounds, the burning pyres that offer a grim spectacle against the twilight sky. As weeks turn into months, you grow gaunt, your movements stiff and weary. Your nights are filled with feverish dreams of contagion and death, and the days with the grim reality of it. The line between the living and the dead blurs as you witness the relentless march of the disease, leaving you haunted by the faces of the dying and the silence of the dead. Your work continues in a city transformed, not by beauty or prosperity, but by an unseen terror that stalks the living and claims the dead. In this macabre danse macabre, you are a solitary figure, a physician, a witness, a mourner. Can you continue your work as the plague tightens its icy grip on Florence? What sacrifices will you make? What horrors will you confront? And will you find a way to heal, or will you succumb to the despair? Your days blur into a rhythm of visits and rituals. The morning fog hangs heavy, muffling the sounds of the city as you walk the Arno's banks. The water is sluggish under a gray sky, mirroring the hollowness in your chest. The only solace, the sound of the river, steady and unrelenting, a counterpoint to the chaos that swirls within you. You visit house after house, the stench of the city clinging to you like a shroud. The faces of the nobles are masks of indifference, their words honeyed poison. You eat sparingly, the taste of bread and cheese dull on your tongue. A stray cat, sleek and cunning, joins you in your lodgings, sharing what little food you have. The leather of the mask is a heavy weight on your shoulders. By day's end, it comes off, revealing skin that is raw and sore. You avoid mirrors, not wanting to see the hollow eyes that stare back at you, judging you, mocking you. Sleep offers no escape. The ancient floorboards creak under you, a lullaby to the cries of the distant night. Was there ever a time when laughter echoed in these halls, when life surged through these veins? Now only shadows remain, dancing in the moonlight, whispering tales of a city that lives and breathes death. In this desolate landscape, you search for a glimmer of hope, a sign of humanity in the midst of despair. You find it in the smallest of things, a shared glance, a kind word, a moment of connection in the sea of indifference. It's a fragile thing, this hope, but it's enough to keep you going, to make you question if maybe, just maybe, there is still good in this world. Or perhaps it's all just an illusion, a flicker of light before the inevitable darkness. The choice, my friend, is yours. Will you embrace the shadows or hold on to the fading light. In this tale of two cities, you are the author of your own ending. What will your story be? Will you succumb to the darkness that threatens to consume you? Or will you find a way to bring light into the shadows? The power is in your hands. Choose wisely, for the fate of your soul hangs in the balance. Florence is dying. The year before, 90,000 people lived here, 90,000 souls. Now there are only 40,000 left. That's how many people died in just a few months. And when they buried the dead, they didn't have enough coffins, so they just piled them up in mass graves. When the plague arrived, most people thought it was God's punishment. After all, the Black Death had already ravaged Asia and was on its way here. But even then, some saw something different, a new way to take advantage of the chaos. You watch a mother sell her children's birthright for a loaf of bread, then chase after the buyers when they try to cheat her. You see neighbors help each other through the worst of it, sharing what little food they have, helping the sick and the dying. Nuns leave their convents to care for the fevered and the blind. A local tailor, a former soldier, organizes an armed gang to protect the sick from gangs of looters and murderers. Some things never change. You are a doctor, and at first, treating victims feels like trying to stop the wind with a sieve. Victims come to you too late, and you watch them die in agony, their skin pustulant and black. Others live just long enough to beg you to end their suffering. You do what you can, offering what small comforts you have, listening to confessions, anointing the dying. You don't know how you got infected. Maybe it was the clothes you wore after treating a patient, or the wine you drank from a shared flagon at a tavern, or the bread you ate without knowing who had baked it. But every day when you wake up, you pray that the sickness has passed you by. If it hasn't, it will be a slow death. You will waste away until every organ fails. Then the rats will find your corpse and set up housekeeping. You try everything. You treat the sick with baths, leeches, and mercury. You wear protective clothing when you visit patients, covering up with wax masks that have lenses made of crystal or quartz. Sometimes you even use these masks to project images onto the faces of your patients, hoping it will drive out whatever evil spirit has invaded them. You don't really believe that yourself, but desperate times call for desperate measures. And still, some of your patients get better. It's not much, but it's something to hold on to when the going gets tough. When the grateful patient leaves, their family offers you money, but you refuse payment. You accept only food, enough to sustain you on your own journey. Then they leave, and you eat alone in your room. You eat until you feel sick, and then you throw up. Maybe it will wash away whatever it is that is inside you. Maybe if you purge yourself, you can start over. But it doesn't work. The plague follows you everywhere. By 1349, the pace of death slows, but no one knows if the plague is truly gone. For 2 years, you've treated the sick and the dying. Now you're starting to see fewer patients, but the nightmares follow you still. You see the faces of the dead staring back at you from the river, their eyes accusing you of not being able to save them. You hear the cries of mothers whose children have sold them into a life of misery. You smell the stench of death on the wind and taste it in your mouth like ashes. Now, 5 years after the plague reached Florence, the city is waking up again. The Arno River sparkles in the morning sun. People cross the Ponte Vecchio and start to rebuild their lives. They will never forget what happened here, but they have to move forward. You walk the streets, the mask now a relic stowed in your satchel, the weight of the dead a new burden in your heart. Their names rise up in your mind, a silent litany, a requiem for Florence. The plague took so much, but it left you with more stories than you could ever tell.